Properly done, role-playing games can also help broaden our appreciation and understanding of people much different than ourselves. True, this doesn't really apply when you're only playing an RPG to go out and slay some orcs and loot their bodies for treasure. In fact, many fantasy tropes can actually reinforce stereotypes when used incorrectly. But for people who really try to dig into their character and understand who they are and what motivates them, RPGs can be a way of viewing the world through new eyes. To back this up with some research, the American Journal of Clinical Hypnosis published a study in 2016 that indicated role players are significantly more likely to have empathic involvement with others. Maybe the solution to the QAnon crowd is to get them to play some Dungeons and Dragons instead. Dungeons and Dragons took the act of creation and placed it in the hands of masses. Now anyone could make their own fantasy adventure, and anyone could be the hero of the story. When you think of it, isn't that a trend that's been mirrored in many other ways over the last few decades? The internet began as a static place that was created by a select few and consumed by the rest of the world. Then it shifted back around to the early 2000s, and it turned into this spot that's much more about creating your own content and sharing it with the world than it is about just seeing what everyone else has said about something. Social media has taken over to the point that when I go looking at news articles about a topic, often a large part of those articles ends up being reports on what other people have said about the event on Twitter. I don't really understand how that's news, but I guess it must be since I keep clicking on it. In my defense, once they reach the "this is what other people said about this on Twitter" section of the article, I usually click my way elsewhere. Widely available video cameras and editing software, paired with platforms like YouTube and Vimeo, broke down the doors of filmmaking and made it so practically anyone could make a movie and share it with the world. Self-publishing has gone from the realm of vanity presses and ended up a completely viable way to get your books in front of readers, launching many successful authors' careers. You don't have to look anywhere further than The Martian. Andy Weir published it as a free serial on his website. Readers asked him to make a version available on Kindle. And then it hit the next level and ended up on the New York Times bestseller lists, eventually being adapted into a movie that was nominated for 7 Oscars and won Golden Globes for Best Motion Picture and Best Actor. I would argue that most of the world these days has been turned from a lecture into a conversation. We no longer view ourselves as consumers, but as producers. Can all of it be traced back to Dungeons and Dragons? I might not be willing to go that far, but I'll say that the innovation came at a key moment in time. And I definitely believe many of the principles that made it so attractive to so many have ended up being used to do the same thing to countless other areas of technology and pop culture.